Hey, Chad here from Chibi AI. In this video, just want to see if we can get GPT-4o Mini, yes, the mini one, to be able to mimic what OpenAI, the new model OpenAI o1 is doing. There's been a lot of speculation that it seems like that maybe behind the scenes, and I don't know if this has been debunked yet or anything like that, but maybe behind the scenes there is a reasoning step that's happening after you make your initial prompt, and that's why it's taking so long. I honestly haven't looked too deep into it. I've just seen a couple people happen to mention it, but the new model is here, right? OpenAI o1, and it seems that the main point of this model is to be able to reason better and solve more complex problems and things like that. But the classic is the strawberry test, right? Where the other models would always count the R's wrong. And so in this video, I want to see if we can make the tiny GPT, the previous GPT-4o Mini model, the cheapest version of the model, see if we can make it count R's correctly, introducing a reasoning step, essentially. And to do that, I am going to switch over to Chibi. This is my SaaS app that does AI stuff to help writers and content creators create amazing content. It's designed for those who care about having the control that they want to be able to generate exactly the content they need. And I'm not trying to sell you Chibi here. I really just want to show you that we have a feature that we call actions. And using actions, you got here our action toolkit. Using actions, I can stage this so that we set up our reasoning step. And I've already built it over here. And on the right, you can see we have 3 steps that are in this action. It's going to ask for a prompt, then it's going to do a reasoning step, and it's going to create the result. Now, I have it all kind of pre-staged, so I'll kind of go through this a little bit. The first step when it runs is going to pop up a pop-up for us to enter in what it is that we want to ask the AI to do. I have it set to a default value how many R's are in the word strawberry, which is the classic strawberry test. It seems like AI models just can't count the right number of R's, right? There's 3. And for some reason, and I suspect, this has probably been dissected before, I have a feeling that the capital R here probably plays a little part in it, especially depending on the tokenizer and stuff like that, right? But I'm not really sure exactly why the model is unable to count this, but they really have struggled to do it. And so let's see if we can introduce a reasoning step that makes it actually work. I suspect that it's one of those situations where we might be able to get it to work, but it's not going to be a super hyper reliable way. And that's why OpenAI came out with o1, right? The model is designed to try to be more capable of reasoning to be able to do these kinds of things. And it's so I've heard a lot already from some of my users that the o1 model doesn't really seem to help them with writing as much. It's better for research or maybe for tackling sort of complex questions and stuff. And yeah, it's probably the point. And one of the things that's really nice about Chibi is you can use any number of models. We have access to hundreds. And if the model that you are trying to use isn't quite performing what you want, you can switch to a different model and try that out. In this case, we're trying to see if we can introduce a reasoning step into the tiny little GPT-4o Mini to be able to get it to do something similar to what the brand new OpenAI o1 can do, right? And so we're going to try and see if we can make a smaller model perform what it's not really designed to do. Okay, so the next step is the reasoning step, right? So what we want to do is we're going to ask the AI to come up with a plan, right? Create a step-by-step process that will perform the request given. I tried to make this a little bit generic so that it doesn't have to be the strawberry. It's like this action is not purely designed to support the strawberry test, right? It's a little bit more generic than that so that in theory we could use this action to solve other complex puzzles as well. So we have given a step-by-step process that will perform create a step-by-step process that will perform the given request given. So we pass in a request. This is, you can see how we got the double braces here. This is a placeholder or a variable. And up here we have prompt. So essentially whatever I type into the box when it pops up gets passed through the prompt and gets put right here. And then it's going to design the process. So let me show you a little bit behind the scenes to see, like we have these tasks set up here, and the first thing you can see here is the prompt. But if we hit this little gear, this is where we get access to a bunch of other stuff. Like, ignore all this stuff. This is all about how it's going to be streamed into the document and whatnot. I do prefix the output with a heading of reasoning so we can spot it in the editor. And then I've given it a name. See how like reasoning is the name down here. Up here it says reasoning, and I've set the variable to reasoning. That's why this is called reasoning. Now I'm going to open up the AI settings. I have it set to custom so that I can set up all the stuff here. And we're using GPT-4o Mini, and we have some instructions here for it. So you are not writing to the user. Instead, you are thinking deeply about the problem to come up with a step-by-step process that will come to the correct solution. Your task is to create that process based on the request. That's it. Nothing super special here. We're just trying to let the AI know that you're not really writing out to a user. You're kind of coming up with a plan. And I do have this set. So this task, you can see this icon here. It looks like a little radio icon with a square. This is what we call our stream prompt task. And this does write the contents out into the document. Normally, maybe a reasoning step like this, you'd probably switch it so that it doesn't write it to the document, but it passes it on to the next step instead. But for our purposes, we want to see what the reasoning is, and so it's going to write it out into the document. Okay, so the reasoning, the plan that it comes up with is going to be put into a variable called reasoning. And now we have the result where it's going to actually run that process. It's going to take that prompt, it's going to use its reasoning plan that it came up with, and then it's going to generate the final result. And this is our prompt to try and get that to happen. So to address the user's request, please follow this structured approach. Carefully read and analyze the user's request, right? So we got the prompt coming back into here from the first step. Process. Apply the following reasoning steps to formulate your response. And then we have the reasoning here. And this reasoning is coming from step 2, where step 2 is creating that plan. We're going to use it here. And then we're giving it an execution step. So follow each step of the process methodically. We're telling it how to use its own process plan. I did try it without trying to have all this kind of stuff in there, and it was a little bit less reliable. And so, you know, obviously the GPT-4o Mini is not really designed to be as reasoning as most, especially for being a tiny mini model, right? But yeah, so we say if you encounter any ambiguities or need additional information, note them for later review and refine. Actually, maybe just go ahead and add a little line there. Cross-check, verify, refine, final result, present your final result in a polished response, and then ensure it directly addresses the user's request and reflects the outcome. Okay, so that's the prompt. If we go into the instructions here, you're an advanced AI assistant engaging directly to the user. Your primary goal is to accurately and thoroughly address their request by meticulously following the specified process. Remember, precision, carefully, blah, 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 right? Basically, we're just really trying to reinforce with this model that, hey, follow the process, follow the process, follow the process. Don't go off and try and do your own thing. And just a quick peek at the controls. We set the temperature to 0. We've got a decent max length, and then top P to 1. That's really just so that, you know, it's following the instructions as closely as possible, right? And so that's our AI setup for this. So just kind of a quick recap. When I run this, it's going to pop up a window. That little window is already going to be pre-filled with the strawberry test. So when I hit go, it's going to perform the reasoning step. It's going to write out all the reasoning here inside of the document. We'll be able to see that. We'll look that over. And then it's also going to perform the result to see if we get the right count for the number of R's that are in the word strawberry. So I'll run it once. If we don't get the result that we were expecting, I'll undo it and I'll run it again, and we'll just do maybe 2 or 3 passes. Whether it gets the result or not, I'll do 2 or 3 passes, and we'll see if we have any level of reliability with that. This test is notoriously difficult for some reason, as simple as it appears for these models to do. But if we can help that tiny GPT-4o Mini model perform to the, a similar level as what OpenAI's new o1 model is doing, then that's a pretty huge win, because the o1 model is quite expensive. It's pretty slow, especially if the task is really complex. I've seen some videos where some of the testing that some are doing, it takes a very long time for it to get the results. So if behind the scenes it really is true that there's kind of a reasoning process being kind of injected in the middle there somewhere, kind of self-prompting or meta-prompting itself, then maybe we can perform that here in Chibi Actions and we can get some really good results. So I'm just going to click save here to make sure that the action doesn't get changed. All right, so over here, we're going to run our action. How many R's are in the word strawberry? Go. So first we get our reasoning. Identify the word, break down the word, count the letters, tally the R's, complete the count. This is going to format here in a second when it's done. Okay, so tally the R's. Actually, let's go turn on the colors so we have a little bit. Okay. So we've got tally the R's, complete the count, review the tally, state the result, and then double check. Okay, so that's our process. Let's scroll and see, did we get the correct number? Okay, to determine how many R's are in the word strawberry, I will follow the structured approach. Identify the word. The word is strawberry, yes. Break down the word, can be broken as in S-T-R-A-W-B-E-R-R-Y. Okay, yep, did that correctly. Count the letters. I will analyze each letter in the word one by one. Tally the R's. S is not an R. T is not an R. R is the first R. Okay, that's interesting. We keep going. Not an R, not an R. Okay, all right. Second R. Third R. Not an R. Ooh, this is promising, isn't it? Let's see if we actually get it to say that there are 3. Complete the count. I have examined the letters. Review the tally. I've counted 3 R's in total. State the result. The total number of R's is 3. Double check. Again, I find 3. Final result, there are 3 R's in the word strawberry. And that is correct. Wow. So introducing a reasoning step like this, we can actually show that, the even smaller models are capable of performing to a higher level if they're prompted correctly. And, you have the ability to have kind of a middle step like this. So our Chibi Actions do give you that sort of agent-like behavior so that you can have multiple steps in your sequence here to do any number of things that you want to do. In theory, I could even add its own, instead of just doing reasoning and having it do all the what do you call it, the double checking and everything in just one step. I could probably have another step here that does double checking stuff separate. But it worked, and the cost of GPT-4o Mini is significantly less than OpenAI o1 and o1 Mini even. It's also significantly faster. It has the ability to stream into the document like you saw here, and right now OpenAI o1, it doesn't really stream. It's kind of like it halfway supports streaming, but then it just drops all the tokens to you at once. So not necessarily a terrible thing, but so let's try something here. That was run number 1. I'm just going to go ahead and undo all that, or just delete it, and we'll hit go again. Let's do it one more time. Let's see if we get the same result. Okay, so let's just kind of scroll with it here a little bit. It says 3. Okay, we're getting down there. Final result is 3. So 2 times it was able to answer that correctly. I'm going to go ahead and take this away. And what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to change this from a stream. Let's go down here. We got a button here that changes this to what we call a run prompt. So what that does is it does all the work, but instead of writing it into the document, it just passes it to the next step. So we won't see the final or the process that it comes up with. But when we hit go, we should see that we get a result after a second here, after it does its thinking answer. Oh, wow, it's going through it. And this time it says there's 2. So go figure that the time that we switch it to use run, it shows 2. So, and this kind of goes to the reliability thing of it, right? Because the stream and the run prompt, that's not what's having an impact here. In theory, it shouldn't be. So I'll go ahead and run this again. But that essentially the model is really not as powerful as what we're trying to get it to do, right? It's going through the same thing. And we get 2 again. That's interesting. I wonder if it is, because it can't possibly be that. I'm glad that this is showing up, because we had 2 successes in a row and now we got 2 failures in a row. Are we going to actually get it to? It almost looks like there's a cached result going on or something. Okay, 3 this time, so there's 3 R's. So, you know, as you can see, the model is not perfect, but it's significantly closer than what we had been getting in the past, right? If you ask just directly, it's just on a whim what you're going to get from it. So, I think that the theory that the new OpenAI o1 model is doing some sort of a meta step in the background, like a meta prompt, or it's prompting itself, or maybe even there's like really maybe two models in the background where one's getting prompted for like a, you know, maybe it's fine tuned for building that reasoning step that we just did here. It's just kind of a black box where we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, right? We're just getting our result, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that's not how they should do it or whatnot, because we've found that in the past that we do these kinds of things in our chibi actions ourselves, and they have some really good results sometimes. So it's a technique, it's a strategy to use, and if OpenAI is doing that in the background for us, then that's cool. And I think this just showcases that there's a lot of room for even in the models that are before these OpenAI o1 models, right? So I hope you found this interesting. And if you have any questions or if you're interested in Chibi, I'd love to see you as a subscriber, of course. And I plan to do more of these and see if we can break down some other puzzles and problems that have been shown by the community and see if we can get smaller models. And maybe I'll even try to do this with not even GPT-4o Mini. Maybe we can get some like teeny tiny llama 7 billion parameter models to do it or something, right? We'll see. In the future, I'll try out some more experiments like this. But and if you have any specific experiments you want me to try, then please drop it in the comments below. I'd love to give them a shot. And until next time, take care.